What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Believe in Falcons. I'm your host, Will McFadden, joined, as always, by former Falcons fullback, Ovie Mughelli. And Ovie, when we talked about this game in the lead-up, you predicted I believe, 35-7
I
blowout.
did.
So
I did.
I understand why you made that prediction, and I'm not even here to give you a hard time about that prediction. I'm just really curious.
Well, you could.
I could, but I'm genuinely curious. What is your reaction to what you saw today from the Falcons?
Surprised. I was really surprised that they fought so hard. They fought so hard. And they fought so hard, and that for a couple of quarters, you actually thought there was a small chance they can win it. I thought it'd be dominant from play one to the last play. And even the way they finished, where Arthur Smith and the whole squad were trying to score that last touchdown. They were trying to score. It didn't mean anything. We're going to win. But the level of fight and grit and intensity that you saw from almost the whole team was a nice kind of turn around that corner that made me feel like this was a character loss. As much as we hate to even talk about building character while we lose, or what we learn from it, or silver linings, or all that foolishness, we play to win the game, or we play to win the game. You gotta say it right if you're gonna say it. But this game is one where you have to find ways to grow in wins and losses. You can't be too high when you win. You can't be too low when you lose. And if you're able to figure out how to strategically learn from some of the mistakes you made in a loss, it can help you in the long run, and not just like this season, like seasons on, because you're playing against the best team in the NFL, the defending world champs. And so to be 3 points down was a huge sounds terrible when you say it out loud, a huge statement for the Falcons, because not just me, but the majority of Falcons fans and all the NFL pundits did not think this would even be close.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're taking this approach, but I'm excited about it. But I guess I should say right off the bat here, 30-17 loss by the Falcons today at home to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay moves to 9-3. Atlanta now 5-7, still in the thick of it. But you hate to drop this game, and they remain winless in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. None of those are good things, but we will get much, much deeper into today's game, an unfortunate outcome, but we will get into all of it right after this. All right, so Ovie, those were your thoughts up top, but I agree with you in a lot of ways, but then there are some parts of this game where I once again kind of felt like, this team can win games, can win close games against the teams that it should beat, frankly, right? But I still don't really have any confidence, even if it was a team closer to Atlanta, which, they'll have next week. They take on the Carolina Panthers. That's a team that's right around there. I think maybe they have the same record even. And, in that matchup, maybe I feel a little bit better picking Atlanta than I would have the first time they met, earlier this season or what have you. But I don't feel any better after today's game about an Atlanta team against, Green Bay or Los Angeles or, those types of teams. And so while I still stand both feet firmly on, you don't turn down a playoff run. I'm not turning down a spot in the playoffs. Even if Falcons get washed in the first round, I am not saying that that's not worth it. I'm just saying that I was kind of hoping to come away from this game, even if it was a loss, feeling like the Falcons could stand toe to toe with a big boy. And they did, I guess you could say. But in the second half, I never felt like they were even close to really giving another punch in the second half. And a good team just made an adjustment, and the Falcons never really got back into it. But I will agree with you. I liked a lot of the things they did in the first half. The run game, clearly, this is a real thing. They're fixing things in the run game, whether it be with scheme, whether it be just the looks, the way that it all is designed and drawn up and how it all marries together. What did you think about the ground game especially that opening drive. I mean, what did you think this game would play out like when you saw the Falcons run the ball down the Bucs' throat on their opening offensive possession?
I was excited. And it's so the second half of the season, I've tried to temper my excitement because if I go full on fan, I'll be like, look at that. We ran the ball down the world champion's throat. We're going to the Super Bowl. Let's go. Let's get your tickets. Let's get excited. I was just so, you heard me at the beginning of the season. I was like 10-7 is what I told everyone. And I eat those words out because you as a fan, you want to believe. You want to, look at the best. Every fan does that. You look for the best in your team. You ignore the weaknesses. And now I'm being a very, observant and fair and honest analyst, where I see that I liked the run game. I liked what we did, but I wanted to see more. But you said that you didn't feel like we could hang with the big boys. We still can't, but we're getting closer in certain areas. The other areas, they are what they are. We have issues in pass protection. We have issues with our defense. We have a lot of issues in getting to Tom Brady or getting to the quarterback. But our run game, has steadily been getting better from Jacksonville and to this game. I feel like, Mike Davis has finally watched enough Cordero Patterson tape to where he wants to be a part of the process and is showing that he's going to run just as hard and he's going to make the cuts. And he's going to not dance around.
He looked nimble out there.
He did. Yeah. And I don't know what happened to him because the majority of the season he has not looked nimble. And I don't like talking bad about running backs, but he's just been a disappointment. He's been like a Ray Edwards. No, he wasn't that bad, but almost Ray Edwards-ish type of disappointment to where you bring over a guy, you feel like he's going to be a big contributor, and he's just, man, it's not good enough when you spent millions of dollars on a player. And I don't know. He was supposed to be what CP is, and there has to be not jealousy, but there has to be some envy in watching the guy who had no name. As a fullback, as a player, they brought me over and they paid me well to be the top fullback, not just for the Falcons, but in the NFL. If there was some backup fullback or some, offensive lineman turned fullback or a linebacker turned fullback, and he came out of left field, a special teams guy, and he just got in a couple times and just showed out and was knocking out guys, blowing up people, getting pancakes, I would feel salty, William. I would be very salty. Don't forget that. I would be pissed because that's my role. That's my job. At the same time, I'd have to watch film, look in the mirror and say, he got that because he produces. That's what Mike Davis has been doing all season long. And I know he wants to get back into it. This was a small step, not to take over Cordero Patterson's role because he's got that cemented, but to get more time in the run game because he showed that at times he can be effective.
No, he definitely can. Ovie, do me a favor real quick. Just move your mic a little further. Like your levels are off the charts because you're talking so close to the mic. So just move the mic back a little bit.
Oh, I'd be happy to.
There you go. Now that should be,
all right.
Should Perfect. Be better. Yep, cool. No, I completely agree. And I've been really waiting for Mike Davis because, again, if you watch him on a play-by-play basis, he does some good things. It's just he's not ever been able to, outside of kind of that one big touchdown catch that he had earlier on in maybe Washington when he broke like 7 tackles. He just hasn't been making the big plays that Cordero has been doing throughout the year. Today he made some of those big plays happen, and he was like tiptoeing down the sideline on a couple of plays. It was weird.
I didn't see who it was.
Yeah,
is that CP? Is that Mike Davis? Who is that?
He was light on his feet. But the Falcons ran for 121 yards against a defense that came into today allowing, I think, 81 on the ground, the best run defense in the league. So back-to-back games where the Falcons offensively were led by their run game. Let's just stay on the topics of some things that we liked, and then we can get to some of the things that obviously they lost the game. So we're going to have some nitpicks. Yeah. But Russell Gage, I think he played a really good game outside of the fumble that he lost, which that's a tough fumble. But the guy's trying to make a play. I get that. That was a good play by the defender to come behind and punch that ball out. But I thought he stepped up time and again when the Falcons needed a big third down conversion. He was the guy. He was there. Kyle Pitts got a little bit more involved, But what did you think of Matt Ryan and the receivers today?
I thought that I was, watching a inspired receiver group or an inspired team altogether. Again, the execution wasn't quite there, but just with the play, you can tell when a team has a different mindset. They've turned it up a couple of notches. They turned it up to the playoff level.
They wanted to
Intensity.
play
And
this game. Like they wanted
yes,
this game. The Falcons
yes,
really
they
did.
were not.
Yeah.
They were not scared. They were not backing down. They were not, cowering and in awe of the mighty Tom Brady. F that. They want a piece of Tom Brady. They want a piece of Vita Vea and Dominican Sue. They wanted a piece of them, and I love to see it. Now, it'll always come back to talent. We don't have the talent,
Yeah.
even when we're all hyped up and excited to really compete on those levels. And even the place where we do have the talent, they don't show up all the time like it should. But I still do like what Matt Ryan and receivers are doing, and Russell Gage showing that, he can be a baby Calvin Ridley. Like he was, at times Calvin Ridley-esque when he was, contorting his body in the air, catching balls behind him, big third downs coming up in the first half. The second half was rough for everyone. But I was really excited to see the whole team, and Matt Ryan is going to be consistent. That fire that he has, the fact people doubt him is going to happen because we're losing. But from someone who played, 4 or 5 years with Matt and got to see him up close in person and understood exactly his intensity, his preparation, and his just unshakable desire to win.
Yeah.
I know that he is constantly harping on the offense and that whole team about how you can't ever not put your best out on that field. I don't care what you're dealing with. I don't care what's going on. I don't care where it is in the season. You have to play every game, and it's the biggest cliche in the world, like it's your last game. Like the last game I played hard, and I try to play every game like it's my last game. But when it's actually your last game, Detroit Lions, 2011, third quarter, like my last time playing in the regular season, I really wish and feel like I could have put a little bit more that quarter. I could have done a little bit more that season. I could have done a little bit more. And you don't want to ever have that regret. You want to always know that you put your best out there. And it seemed like every player had that mindset.
That's a good point. And I think maybe I should give them credit for, because you're right. Like that was something tangible. And I could feel it as well, as they wanted to be out there. They were not scared of this team. Now, we can quibble with the execution. You can quibble with some of the penalties that happened. I mean, the offensive line play. Sure, I know we know Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh are big guys. Trust me, we get that. But you can't allow them to dictate a game, especially when you're trying to come back. Like that's when you can't make those mistakes. But I think that does just speak to a talent discrepancy, and there's nothing you can really help about that. And I kind of wrote this down late in the game when I was just taking notes, and I wrote down, the Falcons don't have enough players capable of making kind of like over the top momentum plays. And what I mean by that is the Falcons are driving on offense. They're down by 10, but they're putting together a good drive, score a touchdown, cut this to a 3-point game. They get to like midfield, the 45, the 40, and then a 3rd and 4 comes up and it's an incomplete pass, or it's a 4th and 2 and it gets stuffed, or whatever. They're just not able to they're putting themselves in good position to deliver some type of punch, some type of, whether it be a knockout, whether it be a big, just explosive play that now puts you into the low red. And now like all of a sudden it's a game and you're a threat again. They're not making those plays. And whether that be on offense or defense, it's a 3rd and 12 and you give up a first down. Yeah. They're just missing a few guys on either side of the ball who are capable of saying, this is a pivotal point in the game. I'm going to make a play here to move the needle incrementally in our favor to win this game. And that's just kind of where the Falcons are at. And that's understandable. Again, there's not really anything they can do about it right now. I think the coaching staff did a pretty good job today. I think they had a good game plan coming in, and it was a 1-score game going into the 4th quarter. I mean, like that's, or at least a 10-point game going into the 4th quarter. Like that's where they wanted it to be.
Yeah.
One player who did make one of those momentum swinging plays Marlon Davidson,
Yeah, he
he was
did.
really
Big man.
the one bright spot on defense. So
Big man touchdown.
let's give him some love before we pivot to some of the bad stuff. What do you think of that?
Oh my! See, it's that type of stuff that every team has to have in order to win games.
Yep.
If you don't have just undeniable talent on your team throughout offensive, defense, first, second string, multiple levels. If you're a team like ours, we've said it all year, you need some of the role players to step up. Like, I would love if Tajay Sharp just had a game. It's like went off. It was like, hey, this is my field. I'm big dog out here. I'm out here catching touchdowns, doing one-handed catches. I would love if and
that'd be great.
Marlon, it'd be wonderful. Like, but you need a guy like Marlon Humphreys to come out there and just do something that no one expects him to do. I couldn't believe Tom Brady didn't see that. They showed the replay so many times. I was watching Tom's eyes. I was like, what was he thinking?
Yeah. No, go.
Here's what he was thinking. He did not know who the hell Marlon was. He didn't know who he was, didn't care who he was. Probably this, second, maybe third string type, a defensive lineman on most teams. He was like, I'm not, you're not Michael Strahan. You're not,
he literally can't see you unless you're a certain degree, unless he respects you a certain amount. You're literally blind to him.
That's what some of these superstars work. But he didn't expect that the speed, the intelligence, the ball awareness, all the things that allow the interception to occur. He didn't think that Marlon could even do that. And so that's why I think it's a huge secret weapon for us to have all these guys who have talent. They're in the NFL. They have talent, but being able to pull that talent out of themselves and to show it on game day when the lights are the brightest. And Marlon did that. I was so happy for him. I mean, I was yelling at my TV and the arms were up and like the whole Falcon faithful, we were just going bananas. And then I think that was what cut us at 3 points. And we're like,
right before the half.
We might win this. There's a chance. It got exciting.
I thought there was a chance now we keep it close, which they did, to their credit. I still wasn't.
True.
It was much better than the alternative, though. And no, great. I'm really happy for Marlon. He had a rough rookie year, but I got to cover him last year. Great kid, really, really confident in himself. I remember I was at the Combine when he was at the podium talking about the reason that he loved the game of football was because he could like physically harm other people, and it was like rewarded.
Yes, you told me that.
and he was like, I can't get in trouble for just absolutely abusing somebody physically. And people were kind of like, is this guy okay? Like, what is happening? But when it's on your team,
okay.
When it's on your team, that's the stuff you love.
Yes.
And so
we need some crazies.
I'm really excited for Marlon after dealing with an injury all last year. You're right. The defense needs more players like this. Grady Jarrett, frankly, didn't really come on until it was that Super Bowl game, 3 sacks. That was the end of his second season. And, that's when he really kind of took that next step as a player. It's late in Marlon's second season. So it's a big adjustment on the defensive line as well. And we always talk about the offensive line and the adjustment from college to the pros. It's not easy to go from college to be 22 years old. And now all of a sudden you're going up against, a double team that consists of 2 6'6", 355-pound guys. Like, that's hard.
Yeah.
So Marlon, that's a great sign for his development. But let's talk about some of the negatives here, because outside of that play by Marlon, just an absolute zero from the defensive line today. I think I saw there was 1 quarterback hit on Tom Brady. And as he did in the first game, absolutely carved up the Falcons. He threw the ball 51 times, gained 368 yards through the air, 4 touchdown passes, the 1 interception to Marlon Davidson. But what do the Falcons have to do against? Because the issue with somebody like Brady, if you blitz him, he's too good. He knows where to go with the ball. He'll get it out quickly, and he will eat you alive with the blitz. But the Falcons don't have a pass rush. So it's kind of a catch-22 here. What did you see, and did you think the Falcons at least tried to do something to get Brady off his spot, or did you think they just sat back and tried to cover as much as possible?
They sat back and tried to cover it, and it didn't work. When you have Gronkowski and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin just, being elite specimens of pass catching, and
15 catches for Chris Godwin today.
the size, the speed, the football IQ. We had no one on defense to really counter that. Now, I love AJ Terrell, but he can't play all the positions. He can't,
Right.
he can't be every secondary position. I still think he's talented. I still think he's going to be a great piece for our defense. But we know that we cannot get to Tom Brady with our 4 down linemen or with our just a regular rush. It's not going to happen. Even if we add somebody, throw Foye in there, throw Dion in there, we're still not getting to him because his offensive line were specifically constructed in order to protect Brady. That is the number one goal for them. Unlike our Matt Ryan, they actually protect their quarterback. And it was a difficult thing to where, like you mentioned, even if we send the house, Brady's going to get rid of it, knows all the hots, the audibles, the routes to go to, the checkdowns, and we won't get there. The only way Tom Brady's been beaten from the Giants Super Bowls and other teams is when he gets manhandled. The defensive linemen beat their one-on-ones, and they get in Brady's face, and we still have all our defensive backs to cover. Those are only situations where you have a chance. If not, he's too good.
Yeah, I think there was the broadcast brought up the point where Dean Pease, I guess, in talking with him in the week leading up to the game, Dean Pease mentioned, and they quoted him saying that Brady always has the chalk last. And what he meant by that was whatever he draws up defensively, Brady then gets to see it before he snaps the ball, and he gets to diagnose it. It's a metaphor. He's going up to the chalkboard, you give him the chalk, he gets to basically say, here's how I beat this. And he just does that with his head. He makes those calls. And to me, that almost, and obviously I don't think Dean Pease meant it this way, but it reads a little bit like a defensive coordinator kind of throwing his hands up in the air and saying, like, against a guy like this, like, what really can I do? Because he's got the opportunity, but it also speaks to, again, that talent discrepancy, because the Bucs came into this almost like they had checkmated the Falcons before either team set foot on the field. And in a lot of ways they did, because they were not afraid in any way, shape, or form of Atlanta's pass defense. And that consists of both their coverage and their pass rush. And they knew if you blitz us, Tom's going to beat you quickly, and we're going to possibly get some explosive plays out of that. And if you drop back, you don't have a good enough pass rush to affect Tom, and he's going to sit back there for 5 seconds, and he's just going to find the open guy, and we're going to beat you like that. They threw the ball 51 times. They came out and threw it, I think, 13 out of their first 15 plays. This was their game plan, and they executed it pretty well. I mean, the Falcons couldn't do anything to stop them.
Here's the funny thing, Will. You would typically say, you know what? The Falcons did an amazing job with the run defense. They held the Bucs to like, 40, 50, 60 yards?
57.
Like, it was 57 yards. That's amazing. The Falcons need to be, given participation trophies and everything. But they did that because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are ranked 31st in rush attempts. They don't need to rush. They don't want to rush. They don't have to rush because they have, like I mentioned, Godwin and Gronkowski, Mike Evans, and all the other superstars in the receiving core. And they have Tom Brady, the literal GOATs in the NFL right now. And they have, no concern if you're getting excited about holding them to 57 yards because they're carving you up for as many yards as they want in the air. So, like we mentioned, like you just mentioned, it's just a situation to where Tom has a chalk last, and Tom's going to do whatever the heck Tom wants to do, especially knowing that his guys are going to beat your guys 99 times out of 100.
If you guys the reason that Tom Brady is actually the greatest quarterback football player of all time, he came up in an era that was as old school as possible. It was heavy formations, I formations, run the football. The quarterback is a game manager. You're going to throw the ball 18 times a game and complete 12 of them for 210 yards. He is now the game's best 7-on-7 quarterback. In an era where Patrick Mahomes grew up 7-on-7 camps, playing baseball, doing all these other things. Like, Tom Brady did not have the background that these guys have of throwing the football 1,000 times over the summer, just at all these 7-on-7 camps. And he's the best 7-on-7 quarterback in the league right now. That's
Yep.
insane to me. The Bucs are
Ain't it
just so
though?
good that they're like, all right, Tom, you have the ball in your hands 50 times, and they're as efficient as can be. It's incredible.
Yeah.
He is so good to watch. Let's flip sides of the ball. Talk about the Falcons' offensive line. Really, really tough day for them. I think that we're seeing that they're capable of playing well, but like the rest of this team, when they go up against the best of the best, they can't handle it one on one. We know that Todd Bowles likes to send extra pressure. He gives a lot of teams fits. I mean, to Atlanta's
Yeah.
defense, but they just had no chance. And once Atlanta got into some obvious drop back situations in the fourth quarter, it was game over. I mean, they're just not equipped to play that game. That's not what they want to do. But what was your evaluation of the offensive line?
My evaluation was that I like the fact that Matt Hennessy was very upfront about the mistakes that were made, and they're going to address them, and they got to play better. And the same old tired lines they've been saying all year long. It drives me insane. And during the Dan Quinn era, I wasn't playing then, but just don't you get tired of making excuses? I would think, don't you get, like, I know you have to say something. You have to go to the podium, but when you use the same excuses, we got to play better. It's our fault. We got to keep Matt clean. Matt. If I was Matt Ryan, quarterbacks in general, but Matt Ryan has to have a happy place he goes to where he
He's
wants
got
to
to, right?
dog cuss these offensive linemen
Oh,
who are supposed to be NFL caliber, and they are getting him hit, sacked, hurried, just pressured more than anyone else in the league.
it's
And he's like,
insane.
wait.
It's insane.
Y'all, Thomas Dimitrov, Terry Fontenot, GMs, you see me, right? You know I can be a potential Hall of Famer if I have an offensive line. You've seen what I've done when I've had good offensive line and good, pass blocking. I can't work with this. But yet he has to get up, get back in the huddle, knowing it's probably going to happen again, and still call the play and believe, just cross his fingers and believe that his offensive line is just going to give him enough time to make a read and throw. Because you saw in a couple plays, he didn't have time to make a read. He threw the ball before the receiver got there and kind of picked the play out or the route before he got a chance to see which one was the best. And they showed it in slow motion
Stay right there.
because he knows that it's very little time.
Stay right there, because what do you think of the third down play call in the fourth quarter, where it then backed him up and they ended up punting on that fourth down? But it was the third down call, 5 wide. You got guys like Keith Smith in there, split out wide. They, what do you think? Ran I think slants. Matt got sacked or had to throw it away. I can't remember. I think it was sacked. What do you think of that decision? I mean, I understand what they're trying to do there, but would you have liked to see them at least have somebody in the backfield to have the threat of the run?
I would like them to have done something that would given Matt Ryan an extra defender to protect him. And if no one comes, get out into the flat, get into the check down. But that's the way I'm not an offensive coordinator, but I just feel like having a running back there gives you somebody that worst case scenario, they're bringing everybody. Running back has a route. He'll stop his route because first things first,
Right.
protect the quarterback. But with Keith Smith out there, and I know this from being a fullback that's gone out to the wings to have the threat of me running a go route, all 255 pounds of me running a go route on a linebacker or DB. It allows them to do whatever they want in the blitz package because they know that, this big, horse is out of the way. He's not going for a go route. They wouldn't even cover me. And bit him like one time. Matt threw me the ball and I got like 5 yards. But for the most part, they win by not covering the fullback and focusing on getting to the quarterback. So I didn't like it that much just because I know that Matt's been getting killed the whole game. And that was a place where you would learn from your mistakes and make the adjustments to allow yourself to at least get the ball off to the right person.
Yeah, I completely agree. It seemed like they felt that if they had everybody spread out wide, that the Bucs either when they would either blitz and then expose themselves to a quick pass for a first down, or if they dropped everybody back, then Matt would have enough time to at least get through a couple of reads, find the guy, get the first down. He couldn't even do that. I mean, they didn't blitz and they got home to him pretty damn quickly. So
Yes.
the Falcons, if anything, like I understand if you're going up against a team that likes to blitz, that's tough. I can empathize with your day. It's going to probably be hell. But there's no excuse where you can't give Matt Ryan 2.5 seconds on a 3rd and 3 for him to get to 2 reads. You know, that's just, there's no excuse for that. Sticking with the offensive line and a couple of miscues, 2 fumbled snaps. I believe both were Drew Dahlman. We mentioned in our last pod that they've been rotating centers the last 2 games. So between Matt Hennessy, Drew Dahlman, a couple of miscues, including one right there at the goal line. How crushing is that? I mean, I'm sure you've been a part of some plays where you've got some big momentum and then just a fumbled snap. I mean, what would Matt Ryan say when he gets back to the huddle after a fumbled snap?
What the F are you doing? Mud Duck, what are you doing? Tom
it's never his fault, right?
No, it's never his fault. But no, he did a really good job of keeping it together when shit just fell apart. Whether it's a fumble, interception, an almost fumble, he did a really good job of. He'll cuss, he'll yell, but he will snap back into it and say, "All right,
next
thing. Like, what are solutions? Like, let's figure out what we're doing next. Let's figure out how to not make that happen." But he'd still be pissed off, and whether he said it or not, it really hurt the momentum. Because when we're that close to the goal line, the Falcons, they were like within the red zone. They were in the 5-yard line or within the 1 a couple of times, and couldn't do anything. They came with a field goal, and they couldn't move the ball. That's where it just kills me. And it's good to have a run game, but you have to have a run game that can get that very important 1-2 yards. When they know you're going to run the ball, you know you're going to run the ball.
That's talent, though, dude. That's talent.
True.
That's talent.
True.
When it's line up and go, that is talent. And the Falcons, that's why I think we're seeing them struggle, especially in some of these short yardage or like 3rd or 4th down situations. They've been not great this year.
And they can't win.
Yeah, because
they line up and just say, "Let's go." You know, you're running the ball. I used to love that stuff because, again, with my guys, Claybo and Harvey, and with Justin, we had Sam Baker, even,
Todd McClure,
and of course our center Todd McClure. We 100% knew. Line your guys up, line them up, line their ass up, and let's go. Your guys, our guys, me versus y'all. We're going to get that 1 yard every single time, and it wasn't even a doubt. We would go 4th and 1 on the goal line. I remember there was a game or two where we would do that, and he just gave me the ball. Say, "All right, fullback dive," or "Ovie, we're going to run behind you and Mike Turner, going to the right side, our strongest side with Tyson, Claybo, and Harvey Dahl, and we're scoring this damn touchdown." And it felt good because he believed in you, and we always made him right because Mike would find a way. And, if I had to, grab somebody somewhere and twist, like I would push the pile forward. I had to put whatever means necessary. We're getting that 1 yard, and the Falcons don't have that confidence. They don't have that belief. They don't have that, talent, like you mentioned, to be able to get in those situations and say, "We're just going to do a mano-a-mano type of game and make it happen."
Now I'm just picturing you guys and whoever team like you're facing, like the Anchorman news fight when all the news teams assemble and it's just like the 5 different news crews and they're like, "No commercials, no surrender," and like they're freaking out. Yeah,
that's exactly how it happened.
I saw that. Ovie killed a guy.
Accident.
Yeah, but no, there's not that killer instinct, nor is there that mano-a-mano talent. I mean, Kyle Pitts in the red zone as close as you can get, but when that's all you've got, a team can take that away pretty easily. So yeah, I mean, we're going to get into where the Falcons go from here because a big part of Arthur Smith's press conference after the game was they're still in the mix. I think most Falcons fans, I think, went into this game realistic. To put it, I guess, the best way I can. So let's get into that. But first, one more quick break. Okay, Ovie. Turning the page. Actually, we haven't done this in a second. Let's do a real quick good and bad team meeting room guy after this game. Who I think it's safe to say, right? Marlon Davidson would be kind of our good guy.
He's the great.
Yeah,
he's the one that you got to go to because
first big play like of his career,
it's about being able to play big in the moment, because you can be a good player, but if you don't play good on Sundays, if you don't play good on
Yeah.
that fourth down, if you don't play good when the team needs you, because there's a collective, just a certain type of feeling you get when you say someone has to make a play. Someone has to make a play. No shit, I have to make a play,
Yeah.
and I can make that play. And being on the lookout for any way you can really change, just change the game, be a playmaker, a game changer, as they say. And Marlon turned that switch up. He ratcheted it up and made that play. Was in the right situation, because he could have easily just knocked it down or tipped it or fumbled it. But no, he used those baby soft hands of his, grabbed that and took it in. So he's got to be, the guys who have a good team meeting room, even though they lost, he's going to get lots of love. And he has to take this and make it not a one-time thing, a flash in the pan, but something that is part of his Grady Jarrett-esque, rise to become an actual productive, consistent NFL player.
Yeah, the challenge now, Marlon, is don't let this be your career highlight.
Yes.
Let this be the habit. But I think the starkest example of kind of what you're talking about, where you got to make the play where it matters, is every preseason, every training camp. There's like 3 or 4 guys who are absolutely killing it in practice.
Yeah,
Eric Saubert was my go-to, and I used to get made fun of because I was ready to put a gold jacket on him during training camp for like 3 training camps in a row. The dude would make every sideline grab, one-handed catches, corner of the end zone. I was like, how is this guy not like a Pro Bowler for real? I think he actually caught his first NFL touchdown pass last week, so congratulations to him. But
good for him.
He never really made those plays when he was given an opportunity in games. And it's like, that's when it matters. And so it's really good to see Marlon making that play when it matters against Tom Brady. I mean, against the very best of the best. You picked him off. You out-Brady'd Brady on that one. So good job by you. Bad locker room guy. I'm going to surprise myself here, and I'm going to say Jake Matthews, because he had a couple of false starts where they got penalized in the second half that turned out to be kind of some big drives and ended up costing them a little bit on there. And he's just too good of a player. He's a veteran guy, needs to be a leader on this team. He's too good. So that's one of those where, and knowing him, he'd probably stand up in the team meeting room and say, that's on me. I got to be better, guys. My bad. Because he doesn't make those mistakes very often. When he does, he's accountable usually. So Jake will learn from it. He'll get better. I don't think he makes those mistakes again, but they kind of cost the Falcons today.
Yeah, they cost the Falcons this loss, and since they're supposed to act as one unit, I'd have the whole offensive line. They're the one guy that's going to have the bad locker room meeting or bad meeting on Monday, because you watch the film and it's hard to be told that you're getting your ass whooped every single time, almost every single time, and they try not to say this, but sometimes they just got to. Like, you're not good enough to play in the NFL, or they used to say this. Cause they have to deal with these guys the week after, so they try not to crush their spirit, because some of these guys are snowflakes, and it's not like back in my day they will just crumble, and people, whether right or wrong, PC, like, coaches have to be more aware of these guys' mental acuity and whatnot. But back in my day, they would really just crush you and talk about, are you even able to compete in the NFL? Do you belong here? Keith Smith, the special teams coach, you've seen some of his stuff at Hard Knocks. Like, that guy would make grown men cry. And we had coaches just like Keith. Keith Armstrong. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
We had coaches just like Keith that would be very brutal in showing that film, slowing it down, and watching you just get crumpled by a defender or by the opposing team, and just get embarrassed. And they'd show that over and over and over again and ask you, do you think you're good enough? And before you answer, it's like, you're not good enough. That's not good enough. You can't. I was like, ooh, dang, wow. And they will spend like a whole 5-10 minutes ripping you a new one. So I don't know if I've been out of the league for 10, 11 years. I don't know if they're still doing that, but if they are, then the offensive line deserves all that and then some, because game after game, not being able to make the run game work and getting your run back beat up, that's one thing, and they've gotten better about that. Run game's moving, but not protecting your quarterback, who doesn't have the frame of Cordell Patterson or Mike Davis, doesn't have the bigger pads to protect himself, and is usually being hit when he's not looking, is unacceptable.
Yeah, and you're right. Yeah, I probably should give it to the entire offensive line. I may be overly nitpicking a couple of penalties when maybe I should be focusing on a couple of sacks that were given up by a couple of guys on the interior of that offensive line. So good call by you. Yeah, probably the offensive line as a whole deserves a shout out there. All right, let's quickly talk about where the Falcons can go from here. So the last time we kind of did a big picture thing was after the Patriots game. They've now gone 1-1 since that Patriots game. But up next, they've got an away game against the Panthers. Then they are on the road again against the 49ers, home against the Lions, who won their first game today, surprisingly. So,
yes.
Then they're on the road against the Buffalo Bills and return home to close out the season against the Saints. A couple of winnable games in there, a couple of probably hard-fought games, and one against the Bills that probably seems like a long shot. You're shaking your head, Ovie. Yeah. I take it you don't feel too confident about the Falcons down that stretch.
I mean, I want them to finish strong. There are a lot of fans who want the season just be over with so they can get to the draft and they can, move on.
Because boo to those fans, I say.
Yeah. I understand why they think that. I feel like, just like this game, like there's a couple things that you were able to glean from it to make it to where you feel like they're going to incorporate this into their overall being, their psyche, their team mantras, just the experience. So I feel like these last 5 games, they seem daunting, just because we know who the Falcons are. And the Bills, we know is not going to happen. The 49ers, I mean, the rest of them, we can squeak by, because if we can play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and be down by 3, I feel like we can go toe-to-toe with almost any team. We did that with lots of mistakes. So we can go toe-to-toe with almost any team, but it's about being able to win, being able to make the plays when it matters. So I feel like it would be nice. In fact, I really want them to squeak into the playoffs, just because, and I'm not going to get my hopes up that anything can happen once you get into the playoffs, like the Hawks and the Braves, but I just want to give the whole team that playoff experience, because next year I'm going to expect them to get to the playoffs. And still not, expecting Super Bowl, but I'm expecting them to get in the playoffs and win a game or two, definitely. So we'll see what happens, but I don't feel that great about our chances.
Here are the playoff standings right now as it matters, and we're saying this before the Sunday night football game or Monday night football games have been played, but the 49ers just losing a late afternoon game dropped to 6-6, but they will stay in the 6th seed. Philly is 6-7 at the 7 seed, and then you've got the football team is currently 8th, but they are half a game ahead of Minnesota, Carolina, Atlanta, who are all 5-7 and all right there. So you're essentially kind of 2 spots out of one of the wild card slots there. So, and Atlanta plays Carolina. So if they win next week, they kind of bump a spot up over Carolina in that race. And then, 49ers, like they've got some ground they can make up here. If they can beat Carolina and San Francisco in back-to-back weeks, I mean, I would think right then, like, you're looking at them being in that 6 or 7 spot, because those are 2 teams in front of them that then they would have direct wins over. So
that'd be good.
They can make a run at this.
So you're saying there's a chance.
There's definitely a chance. And I mean, I feel better about this Panthers matchup now than I would have a few weeks ago. And I still think the Lions, like, yes, I know the Lions are coming off a win. Sure, we're all happy for Detroit. That you got to have that win. They beat the Saints on the road. They're going to get them at home. I mean, you can make a case, and even the Bills. Hell, the Bills lost to Jacksonville. Like, there's always a chance. And you don't have Tom Brady. anymore to face. So, yeah, I mean, that's all they can really do, right? Nobody's going to sit there in the locker room and say, "Shit, we lost to Tom Brady. We're done, guys. Our season's over." The fact of the matter is, the NFC is not really good. You kind of hit a cliff, and you've got a lot of teams here who are about as good as the Falcons. Somebody's got to get into the playoffs. Why can't it be us?
Why not us? Why not now?
That's the mantra. All right, Ovie, you got anything else before we get out of here?
No, sir. I'm good to go. Looking forward to us bouncing back, getting a win.
Yep. And we'll be back later this week on Friday as usual. As always, today's episode was presented by BetOnline. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please let everybody know where they can find us. Follow us on Twitter at Will McFadden, at Ovie Mughelli 34. And as always, take care.